Hey everybody, Dr. Lauren Fitz here. I am so excited to tell you about who our guest is today on the Fitz and Healthy podcast. His name is Anthony Diclementi. He's got all these letters past his name, which basically means that he's someone important and knows what he's talking about. But for you guys, you have to know that he's a best-selling author and a world-class wellness expert specializing in maximizing energy and peak performance. What? Yes, my kind of dude. In 2006, he released The Biohacker's Guide to Upgraded Energy, which has gone to sell over 15,000 copies worldwide. Through his podcast, The Biohacking Secret Show, biohacking community at biohackingsecrets.com, live events, Biohacking Week, and executive coaching program, he's helped millions of men and women take control of their energy, fat loss, and becoming the best versions of themselves. Sound familiar, guys? In this episode, Anthony will reveal why faster fat loss, anti-aging, and better sex are a direct result of your body's ability to make energy. He's going to answer my questions that are related to biohacking, exercise, recovery, diet, supplements, and optimizing physical and mental performance. It's going to be an amazing episode. Stick around and you'll see. You are listening to the Fitz and Healthy podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Fitzgerald, also known as Lauren Fitz. I'm a medical doctor, a fitness instructor, an entrepreneur, a health and fitness coach, but most importantly, I am a lover of life. And here on the Fitz and Healthy podcast, I intend to give you a ton of great information and knowledge that will serve as potential power so that you can live a life by design and make it more fits and healthy. And don't forget to listen to the disclaimer at the end. I'm not your doctor, yo. All right, enjoy the episode. Much love. Ciao. Hello and welcome to the Fitz and Healthy podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Fitz, and I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Cinthanie from Cinthanie.com. What's up, girl?
Hey, girl. Hey.
How you doing?
You know, I'm doing.
I am also joined by a guest named Anthony Diclementi. What's up, my friend?
What's going on, Lauren? I'm excited to be here.
I know. I'm really excited that you're here too. And our audience has already gotten an intro to who you are. But before we get into the interview that we're going to do with you, we always do iTunes review of the week, and we're almost at 150 reviews in our first 2 months. And so we always like to give a shout out to the people that take the time, because as you know, as a podcaster, those reviews mean everything. And it takes some time for people to go and fill out, the 5-star, hopefully, that they're going to give us, and then their words. So Cinthanie, what's our iTunes review of the week that you got for us?
All right. So our iTunes review of the week says, "I'm hooked." And it's by KJMBCH84. And it says, "I look forward to Lauren and Cinthany's podcast each week. I've been hooked since my first listen. I love how Lauren combines medicine and nutrition and explains it in a way that the average person can understand. I had poor eating habits over the last year, but was motivated to get it together after listening for better. I have lost weight and my anxiety has lessened. Keep doing what you're doing, ladies. You make a difference."
Yeah. Well,
Thank you for your review.
Yes, for real. So Anthony,
Yes.
biohacking. Okay, here's the deal. Up until about 3 years ago, I didn't even know what that word meant. And the first time that I ever heard this word, which I'm sure you won't be surprised, was when I got exposed to Bulletproof Radio. And Dave Asprey, who is a very well-known biohacker. And the first time he heard talk about biohacking, I'm like, what is he talking about? But there is a huge community of biohackers since I have learned what exactly biohacking is. So tell me, how long have you been this biohacker that you are today?
Yeah. So the short answer is I've been biohacking for about 6 years now.
Okay.
I've been in health and wellness for much longer,
Okay.
well over a decade. And my approach was almost entirely nutrition and exercise, like many people in this space. And I did a little bit of supplements and mindset and things like that. And in 2011, I kind of had a rude awakening when I was eating really healthy. I was working out 5-6 days a week, and my health just started deteriorating. I was waking up, I was exhausted all the time. My whole body ached. My hormones were in the gutter. And I felt like I was doing everything right. And that was kind of like the eye-opening moment for me that maybe there's a little bit more to this equation than what I'm doing. And I saw 12 doctors over the course of a year. They all told me that nothing was wrong with me. It was all in my head. And that was kind of when I said, you know what? I need to take responsibility for my own health. It's no one else's responsibility but my own. And if there is more to this equation, I got to figure it out. And that was when I started what I would consider biohacking and really opening myself up to many different subcultures and disciplines, Eastern medicine, Western medicine. I'm not one of those people that thinks that doctors are bad or anything like that. I think that there's a lot of stuff that works and can be used to help us become the best version of ourselves. And to me, that's what biohacking is about. It's about small, tiny changes to influence our biology in a beneficial way so that we can feel better, look better, and have the best quality of life possible for us.
Okay, so what was your first official biohack?
My first official biohack.
Audience members, he has no idea what questions I'm going to ask him, just for the record.
Yeah, I have no idea. I love it. It makes it fun. You keep me on my toes.
Exactly.
I started paying a lot of attention to detoxification, and I think that's an area where and we can talk about it and really go as deep as you and the audience would like with all this stuff. But my body was loaded with toxins, and not just like, I'm not talking about like I went and did a juice fast and problem was solved. It was like, there's a lot of different sources of toxicity in our life that we're completely overlooking. And I was just on an interview with Nick Pino, who's a health researcher and an expert on electromagnetic fields. And we were talking about the way that these unnatural EMFs in our environment, from our cell phones, from Wi-Fi routers, from smart meters, etc., can actually cause oxidative stress and damage our mitochondria, damage our cells' ability to produce energy, can cause the metabolic dysfunction that can result in cancer years and decades down the road. And so there's a lot of different sources of toxicity. And when I started opening up my mind to the toxins of choice, the stuff that I was putting in my body on a daily basis that maybe I thought was, were good for me. The toxins in my environment that I was exposed to, some of that including EMFs, and the toxins that were coming from within my body, viruses, bacteria, parasites, mold, fungi, and addressing all three of those areas systematically and strategically, my health started to improve. So detoxifying by mobilizing and getting rid of toxins was probably the first big biohack where I was like, okay, this is working.
Okay. So I can already hear the standard listener. They're listening. They're like, okay, I've heard this word thrown around, detoxification, but how do you actually do that? Like, tell a person who literally first time to ever hear the word biohack and they can relate with your story of like, okay, I've been doing everything that normal people say that healthy people should do, and I still feel like crap. So what's the first step that you take in this whole detoxification cycle?
Yeah. And that's a great question. And it's a little bit different for everyone, depending on where they're at.
Okay.
So let's say we're starting with someone who is new to the health and wellness game. Right. Okay. They've been listening to your show, but maybe haven't implemented as much as they could have. I would say, let's start with those toxins of choice, the things we're putting inside of our body every day that may not be serving us and helping us to feel as good as we can. And I would say grains and alcohol are the top two.
Yes.
And amen. For real.
You're speaking to our souls right now.
Yeah. And like, look, I don't want anyone to be like, click, I don't want to hear this. I love my booze, because drinking is fun, right? Like I'm a fan of, I love a nice glass of a clean reposado tequila here and there as well. But there's a lot of little things that we're doing and toxins that we're exposing ourselves to when we're chronically consuming grains and drinking the wrong types of alcohol that can really erode our energy and our well-being. And I think starting with those toxins of choice, and saying, okay, if I'm going to drink, how often, what's the amount, how frequently can I do this and still feel pretty good? And with grains, I mean, everyone's aware of gluten, but I think that the herbicide glyphosate, aka Roundup, is a big one that's even more of an issue than gluten, and very few people are talking about it.
Can we keep
That's
him?
where I'd start.
I love him.
I know, right?
I love you guys too. You too, Robert.
No, for real. And we have not actually talked about glyphosate on any of the episodes yet, because we only have 32 episodes in the first 2 months. But glyphosate is something that please go open that door and go there, my friend.
Take them to church.
Yeah. So glyphosate. This is one of those rabbit holes where, as we're talking about it, people are going to be like, "Oh, dang, I've heard of Monsanto. Oh, dang, I've heard of Roundup. Oh, dang," and they'll start putting it together.
Yeah.
But basically, like, there's this company called Monsanto. Many people have probably heard of them. And what they evil. And what Monsanto does is they've played a big role in like commercial agriculture, and basically taking things like corn and genetically modifying some of our foods in ways that they maybe their intentions were good when they started, and maybe they're still good, but a lot of these changes that they've made with the purpose of producing larger amounts of food cheaper, we're now realizing negatively affect our health. And they've created genetically modified corn and soybeans and other crops, and they've got this herbicide called Roundup that they use on the GMO corn. And it's one of the toxins that starts to destroy our cells and our mitochondria, and has been linked to leaky gut and digestive problems and all these things that we're experiencing at levels today that we've never experienced in the past. And it's not the end of the world or anything we need to freak out about. It just means we need to be aware of what we're putting in our body, and maybe decrease or eliminate some of these foods that are.
Gosh, I can't get rid of grains totally. Yes, you can. Your body doesn't need them. Just saying.
And I'm going to say, full disclosure, like, you guys can see the background here. I'm up in Door County, Wisconsin. They are known for having some of the best cherries in the world. And I was helping myself to some cherry pie last night. So like there's a little bit of grains still in my life. I'm not,
but like you said, you're choosing what you're choosing to put into your body, though.
Exactly. And when you go back to 2011, when I first started on this journey, I had to be more strict. And the amount of pie that I had last night probably would have put me under. But when you start giving your body the tools it needs to detoxify, and you become more aware of all of the things that are impacting our energy and our health, and you can consciously choose, it allows you some of those liberties and freedoms that make a healthy lifestyle more sustainable.
Okay, so we've taken the first step, and the person that's listening is like, okay, I can do that. I can get rid of grains and alcohol. In fact, there's a lot of people that listen to us that are already there, because that's the lifestyle I lead. That's the lifestyle that Cinthanie leads. And, are we perfect 100% of the time? No. But for the most part, I'm alcohol-free and grain-free every day. So talk to the listeners that are already there on that plane. What's that next step of detoxification?
The next step is the most overlooked step. And that is, I hinted at it a little bit earlier, but that is these non-native electromagnetic fields in our environment. And I just got done recording an episode of the Biohacking Secrets show with Nick Pino, who wrote the non-tinfoil guide to EMFs, which is like going to be, it's going to be released mid-July. And we had a really fun conversation, along similar lines of like, despite the fact that this stuff is all around us now with our cell phones and with Wi-Fi routers and with smart meters, we don't need to move into the mountains and quit our job in the big city and, grow a beard if you're a guy, to reduce our exposure.
We don't need to become you right now. At this
yeah, you literally described you.
Yeah, right. But we can do little things like, Nick put it this way, what I really liked. He goes, take the way that we're using technology now and basically flip it. Rather than being on technology all the time and every free moment we have, like one of the doctors that I was interviewing the other day, he was telling me, like, I found myself with my phone, like if my kid would like look away and occupy himself for like 15 seconds, I would like pull up the score of the big game or like get on Facebook. And he's like, it became a huge problem. He's like, so what we started doing is when you come into the house, we put our phone in airplane mode and it goes in a little box. by the front door. And he's like, and that's
pretty
because
big.
it's big, right? And I admittedly don't do that. Like,
Okay.
my phone's right here. No, my phone's right here. But it's in airplane mode, right? So I put it in airplane mode so that it's not constantly transmitting. And the reason is, like, we're seeing studies now where it's showing just guys keeping your cell phone in your pocket can reduce sperm count and sperm motility by 50%. And we have people asking, like, what do I need to do to have babies? Why is it so difficult for us to have children? Around with these devices that we know make our sperm kind of
not so
have
good.
difficulty swimming straight, you know? And
they're at the swim meet and they're like, wait, go the other direction. Go the other direction.
Yeah. And little things like that, batching our technology use, saying rather than every free moment, I'm going to jump on social media and see how many likes I got.
Yes.
We say, okay, I'm going to handle all of my text messages, my emails, my social media responsibilities. If you have a business that relies on social media like ours do, you just batch that. Do it in set periods throughout the day, whether that's 1, 2, 3, or even 4 times throughout the day. And then the rest of the time, interact with the people around you. Be present.
Crazy.
Be there for the people in your life that
that
really matter, you know?
Yeah.
So those are some small little recommendations.
Okay. So let's take it to the next level of, okay, a person wants to do that, but they want to, like, get rid of EMFs as much as possible in their day-to-day household. What are some other things that we can biohack?
Okay. So some other things. These headphones that I'm wearing, whether I'm on my phone, whether I'm on my computer, I'm wearing headphones, and I have an extra long cord here so that, like, I'm hanging out with you guys so we can all see each other, and I'm not like this shadow back here, but distance is your friend. So when you're using your computer, there are things like this Hara pad that reduce some of the EMFs that can go to our man parts and lady parts and affect things there. So you can just simply putting a little Hara pad under your computer can reduce some of those EMFs if you're, like, working with your computer on your lap. Using headphones when you're on your phone rather than putting it up next to your head. Again, creating that distance. Like, if you look at the owner's manual for these iPhones, they say, hey, this shouldn't be on your body. You shouldn't have this thing in your pocket. But Apple has now, and not like, again, there's no conspiracy with Apple. No. It's just like,
exactly.
We all got businesses, and those businesses are to help people make their lives better and make money too. But if you go online and you look at their recommendations, it says, like, hey, don't put this on your head. Don't put it in your pocket. And a lot of their safety standards were used based on a 220-pound man. Well, we have kids using cell phones now. Yeah. We have women that are half that size using cell phones now. And
we have women that take their cell phone and put it in their bra. Yeah, I know. Don't even get me started. I've anesthetized too many breast cancer patients that go in for mastectomy, and, like, little things like that if they only knew. I mean, don't even get me started. And, another point when we're talking about headphones, like, I actually, since I've learned, I mean, am I perfect? No, because I still use my wireless headphones, but I try and use them not so often. I usually try and have a cord so that because you're sending EMFs to your head if you're using the Wi-Fi Bluetooth function with these cordless. So little things like that are changes that you can make.
Can we
make a huge difference?
Can we break down what EMFs are?
Yeah. So EMFs, it stands. Yeah. No, it's a great question. Sometimes I dive into the nerdery a little too fast.
I feel like I'm out of the loop here. I'm just like, EMFs.
Yeah.
So leave me in on the secret. I want to know.
One of the many reasons you're here, girl.
I hate them too in these
man.
Yeah. So EMFs, it stands for electromagnetic fields, and it is it's electro frequencies, magnetic frequencies, even radio frequencies that are emitted from devices like our cell phone, like Wi-Fi routers, smart meters on our home, microwaves. I mean, our awareness that there was a problem here started 40, 50 years ago with high power lines. And then it became a bigger issue when we took Ethernet and went wireless with Wi-Fi routers. And what happens, to kind of summarize everything that these, like, we're exposed to natural electromagnetic fields every day. Like the Earth emits an electromagnetic field that varies between 7 and 10 hertz, right? And like that's part of the reason that grounding is so beneficial.
Dude,
because
my dad still thinks I'm nuts for the whole grounding thing. He's like, that's quackery. I'm like, whatever, Dad. But yeah, sorry. Totally didn't mean to interrupt you. But yes, you're speaking my language.
And that's normal. And I think we as humans, we have a hard time with things that we can't measure and things that are not visible. But hopefully within the next 5 to 20 years, we're going to have an easier time. People are going to be aware of some of these risks that EMFs pose and the benefits of just reestablishing a healthy connection with nature and these natural electromagnetic fields that bring us back into resonance. And all of our cells are vibrating at an electromagnetic frequency. And that's critical for them to function. So if I'm going to break down everything complex into as simple way as possible, our cells make energy by taking food and oxygen, and it goes into these little energy power plants of our cells called mitochondria, right? And the mitochondria uses food and oxygen, and it makes energy in the form of ATP, right? And if you want to accelerate that process and make your body even better at it, get a lot of sunlight, natural sunlight. And then that process gets better. Well, what happens is part of that process involves calcium channels, right? We have like these little garage doors on our cells that allow calcium in and out and in the right balances, and that keeps our cells working properly. But what EMFs do is they kind of take that garage door that's working well and it jams it open so that too much calcium floods into our cells. Now, why is that bad? Everyone's heard of like oxidative stress and free radicals and things like that. Well, if we have too much calcium in our cells, that calcium starts to become oxidative stress and it starts to produce free radicals and it damages these energy power plants, these mitochondria, and they don't work as well. So we get tired. We start developing metabolic problems that result in belly fat that we don't want around our midsection. Cancer, as Travis Christofferson illuminated in his book, Tripping Over the Truth, is very much a metabolic disease. And our metabolism depends on healthy functioning mitochondria. So if we are constantly exposed to EMFs that damage our mitochondria over time, whether that's years or decades, we become fat, sick, and tired.
And see, I haven't even blown their minds with mitochondrial health yet, but I have a feeling that in the next 5 years of this new wave of awareness of health and fitness, that people that would have never cared about the geeky science like you and I do are going to start caring about mitochondrial health because that's the root of it all.
Everything. Did I just lose everybody? Is there, did all of your listeners just tune out and go, who is this nerd?
No, they know that I like to go geeky. And so that's why I think you're a great guest for the Fitz and Healthy podcast, because we're both.
Thanks, I think.
Yeah. That's why I asked, can we keep him? Because he speaks our language.
I know. For sure. Okay. So we don't want to totally blow everyone's mind about mitochondrial health, but you did speak to something that I know I would say probably 99% of our listeners care about is fat loss. How does our mitochondrial health even connect to fat loss? Please let the listeners.
Yeah. So our mitochondria really connect to everything. Like my book, The Biohacker's Guide to Upgraded Energy and Focus. I mean, I could have easily called it like The Biohacker's Guide to Optimize Your Mitochondria, but everyone would have read that, gone cross-eyed, and not gotten a copy. You know? But like everything, whether it's our energy, fat loss, mood, even slowing down the aging process, requires healthy mitochondria. And there's a growing body of research now. Like there's some really exciting studies on rats where they found that rats whose mitochondria weren't working right died 30% earlier than rats who had the healthiest mitochondria. And so whether you want to look younger, whether you want to like burn fat faster or easier, it all comes, or just have like tons of energy in mind and body and feel good more of the time. Your focus really should be on your mitochondria and not necessarily just on diet or just on exercise or just on mindset stuff. Because when your mitochondria are working right, everything is easier. Like the whole process runs more smoothly. Your body more efficiently converts food to fuel. There's less inefficiencies. I I don't know if that explains it.
So to the listener that is like, they're saying, I can hear it right now. They're saying, I haven't heard the word mitochondria since biology in high school. So I'm completely lost. So they want to know, how do I even know if my mitochondria are healthy or not? So what's the first step for that person that's very far from being biohacker level, but we're going to get them there?
Yeah. Well, I would ask, I think everything comes down to whether we want to lose weight, whether we want to look younger. It all comes down to we want to feel good, right? That's why we want to do it. We want to lose weight because we get out of the shower and we see that extra stuff hanging around our belly and we don't like it and it makes us feel bad. Or, we feel like our significant other doesn't look at us the way he or she used to. And that makes us feel bad. And we want to feel desired and we want to feel sexy. And we want to be able to put on our favorite dress or our favorite outfit and go to the big party feeling confident, right? Ultimately, we just want to feel good. So I would ask yourself, like, are you feeling good? Are you feeling good in mind? Are you feeling good in body? Do you like the way you look? Do you feel like you wake up in the morning excited to jump out of bed? Or are you having these afternoon energy crashes and you're dragging throughout the day and you feel like you got to medicate yourself with 600 milligrams of caffeine to just function at a normal level? And if the answer to any of those is like, yeah, I don't feel that good as often as I want to, and part of that is a reflection of your standards for yourself. We all have different standards. Some of us have really high expectations for our life, and some of us just kind of want to show up and go through the motions, and we're cool with that. And everything, that's fine, right? But if your life is not to the standards that you want, if you're settling for a life that's less than you're capable of living, your attention should be shifted towards your mitochondria and making some little changes, some tiny changes that produce disproportionately large benefits on the way you feel, the way you look, and the way that you're able to connect with other people and make a difference in this world and leave an impact.
I know that there are a lot of people that are walking around that don't even realize it, on their best day of feeling good, they don't realize what it actually feels like to feel good. And I think so many people think that midday slump is normal and having, like what is normal is not normal. And getting the listener to realize and that, you know what, this state of what I thought was actually, these were my good days, I'm far from good. And I can make these little changes to get to that next level because I want to feel good. Because ultimately, you're right. We want to feel good. And so tell us some, obviously EMF is one area that we can start, but give us some other little biohacks that a person just wants to start feeling better about themselves. Where do they start?
Yeah. So, well, we've talked about two of the three areas of toxicity, which are the toxins of choice. We mentioned alcohol and we mentioned grains. We mentioned environmental toxins and pretty much just focused on EMFs. But that is the low hanging fruit.
Yep.
And finding ways to decrease there. And then the third one is toxins from within. And that's another area where many people, we're dealing with viral infections like Epstein-Barr. That's also like the virus that's responsible for mono. But we've seen that like low levels of the Epstein-Barr virus can also cause chronic fatigue. And a problem that I'm seeing in tons of one-on-one clients is parasites. And, like you think about cattle farmers deworm their cattle twice a year, right? Like in the spring and in the fall. And when was the last time like we did anything to address parasites in ourselves?
Everyone is freaking out right now that they're listening. They're like, "What? I have worms?"
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things that like there's statistics showing anywhere between 90 and 98% of people do have parasites on some level. The problem is when those parasites reach dangerous levels, pathogenic levels where they're having a negative impact on our health. Because parasites also have health benefits. They help us deal with heavy metal exposure, right? So it's not like these things are all bad, but there are cases with viruses, as I mentioned, parasites, bacteria. I dealt with Lyme disease. That was part of what I was going through. So bacterial infections. Candida, which is like a yeast that can drain our energy and make us fat and cause leaky gut. And then even mold toxicity. We're seeing a lot of people that are living in like water damaged buildings and homes with mold. And it's causing this state of like chronic inflammation. Like as you guys know, if your body is inflamed, it's going to interfere with your ability to lose weight as easy as you want to. It's going to make you tired, and it's going to cause brain fog where, you've always got like those words that are on the tip of your tongue, but you can't find them. And you feel like you're not firing on all cylinders. And dealing with those toxins that come from within is another important part of optimizing our energy and our health.
So I totally want to talk about your Lyme disease, because I just literally the other day I talked about on live broadcast. I wasn't eavesdropping, but I overheard my neighbor talking on the phone. It ended up being to her son. And I told her, because I heard her talking about how, he's been to like 12 different doctors and that there's just money to be made and they're not going to talk about. And like, I heard enough keywords and I'm like, oh, I can probably help her. And it's none of my business. But so I opened up the conversation and she was like, well, that was my son. And he just got diagnosed with Lyme's disease. And I'm like, interesting. So tell us your story, because this is something that is constantly missed by Western medicine doctors, not even really thought about for a lot of Western medicine doctors, because the symptoms can be so broad and not specific. So tell us about your experience.
I mentioned around 2010, 2011, I started having some weird things happen. And I was kind of following more of an ancestral diet, and I was doing CrossFit and Insanity. And like, as my body started to deteriorate and I started experiencing fatigue, which turned into chronic fatigue, I still, wasn't wise enough to adjust my lifestyle. I just would put all of my energy into my workouts, so I'd show up and I'd like crush a CrossFit workout and then I'd be like bedridden for the next 24 hours.
Yep.
But I knew something wasn't right. My body hurt. I was dealing with joint pain and aches, periods of brain fog. Like it didn't get so bad where I would like get lost in places I'd been a lot, but something wasn't right.
Right.
And I went and saw a bunch of different doctors, endocrinologists, functional medicine practitioners, and a lot of them at the time, like now you're hearing about Lyme in the news constantly. But 2011, even then, it was one of those things where a dozen doctors told me nothing was wrong with me. It's understandable because I was still functional. Right. But like, we all know what it's like to feel really good. We've all had those days where like you're kicking butt, you're taking names, and you're like, why can't I live every day like this?
Yeah.
It had been a while since I had one of those.
Gotcha.
So I knew what it was like when things were good, and I wasn't there.
But you, on your worst day, compared to the standard American, you're still looking like the picture of health to any doctor. I mean, I can see how a doctor would look at you and that, no, this is not my optimal performance level. But they look at you and are like, no, I wish all patients were like you. I mean, I was that doctor who, but you knew that something was not right.
I could hold it together for the 13 to 16 minute appointment. And seemed like I was in pretty good shape, but it was, something wasn't right. I mean, there was high levels of exercise intolerance. Pretty much any workout left me feeling worse rather than feeling better. I started having all digestive problems. It was like one food after another, I would have it. I'd have a bad reaction. Oh, I guess I can't eat that. Oh, I guess I can't eat that. And like, until it felt like I could eat like cooked broccoli and like chicken breasts. And like, that was about it. I finally went to see a doctor in Chicago, Dr. Alan Bain, and he heard all the symptoms that I was going through. And like, I'd gone from being a pretty healthy, normal guy to having like very low, no libido. And I was like, this is definitely headed the wrong direction. I'm terrified to think where I'm going to be at 35 if this is the way I feel, 28, 29. And he's like, have you been checked for Lyme disease? And I was like, no. I spend a lot of time outside, but I don't remember ever getting bit by a tick. I certainly didn't have a bullseye rash. We ordered a test from a company out of California called IGeneX. And I can share with you guys how my opinion of Lyme disease, and since doing this with dozens of people that have had it too, has evolved. But at the time, it was, when it came back positive, it was a huge relief. It was like we'd at least identified the problem. You know, it's like how some, and I'm not comparing myself to someone with cancer because that's much harder.
Right.
But a lot of clients that I work with that have had cancer have said that it was like a relief when they got the diagnosis because visible problem. They had an enemy that had been identified and they knew what they were up against.
They were validated.
They were validated, and so that's kind of how I felt, and it wasn't really killing the Lyme that got me better, and it hasn't been like killing the Lyme that's gotten, you know, people. Since I tell this story, and a lot of people then apply for coaching that have been dealing with this, and even more so now. But it was really bringing my body back into balance and becoming healthier. And like, we included things to address the bacterial infection and the other co-infections that are often exist with Lyme. But it wasn't like, hey, load me up with antibiotics and you know, problems taken care of.
6 months. Right.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm so grateful to Dr. Alan Bain and a number of the other doctors that I worked with, like on my journey back, and because they provided a ton of important insights. And that was what really started opening me up to the world of functional medicine and the different systems of the body that interface with one another. And really what got me into biohacking, which is just, I think it's the third wave of healthcare, which is people are starting to take back responsibility for their own health and saying, I want to control these things. I don't want to outsource my health. And I want to understand what is my most important asset. It's not my house. It's not my car. It's my body and it's my mind.
Preach.
Yes.
Well, and you know, one very important aspect that you kind of started to touch on that is, in my opinion, one of the most important aspects of living a healthy life is having a healthy sex life. And if your hormones are jacked because of whatever is going on, whether it be food, whether it be environment, whatever, you aren't going to have a healthy sex life, right? So what's your experience?
So I went from being on like one extreme for most of my life to having that like completely go away for a short period, and then pretty good again.
Then I need to be more specific. I don't need well, what had happened was no, but using your techniques of biohacking, what ways have you seen a person's sex life go from average or maybe even crappy to the way it's intended, the way that we were biologically designed to function as humans?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll take a guy example, and then we can give female example. I got a male and a female example. This would be good.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent.
Okay. So a guy example would be if you're waking up in the morning as a guy and you don't have morning wood, morning tumescence, it's often a sign that something is out of balance.
Yes.
Now, it could be a wide variety of things, and that's why podcasts like yours exist to help people start to identify those. But we want to look at our sex drive and our function. One of the most basic being, do you wake up with morning wood as a barometer for your hormonal health and what's going on a cellular level. And there are more sophisticated things. You can get blood work, and you can look at as a man and your testosterone and your estrogen and your sex hormone binding globulin and see if those are all within the healthy range or the optimal range. But starting there and just saying, hey, am I waking up with morning wood? And that's something a lot of guys don't think about. But that can be a sign that something's off and allow you to start making the necessary interventions years before other problems start to present themselves.
Amen. Before you move on, I have to tell a funny story.
Yeah.
So when I moved Oklahoma so my ex-husband was military, right? And so we got stationed at Tinker Air Force Base. So I went from Japan to Oklahoma, and I got there 3 months before my ex-husband and my stepdaughter did. So I'm in the process of finding neighborhoods to live in, and no kidding, there is a neighborhood in Edmond, Oklahoma, morning wood.
Really?
No.
I can't even make that up. Yes.
Who did that?
I know. Like I drove by. I mean, I literally was crying from laughter. Sorry. I know that's totally not related, but I had to tell that story.
That's amazing. How
know,
often do you think those signs get stolen? You know, people like take street signs and stuff.
Yes.
You know, like every teenager growing up in and around that area is
Totally.
like getting tanked on a Saturday night
Or
trying to
if-
like whip out the welcome to Morningwood sign with their buddies.
Or if you live in that neighborhood, how
Oh,
much
yeah.
crap
Oh,
you
yeah.
get if you're in high school. I can imagine.
Yeah. So sorry. Okay. So let's get back to normal. You were going to talk about females as well.
Yeah. So one of my female clients, we'll call her Jamie just to keep things full disclosure, but she was dealing with a variety of thyroid issues. You know, she had some weight that she had been unable to get rid of for a long period of time, and we just kind of started getting her body working better again, getting her mitochondria functioning properly. We got her moving a little bit. She had real bad exercise intolerance.
Okay.
So we had to find some ways to kind of transition her from a sedentary lifestyle to like moving and sweating and getting outside and all the things that we've been chatting about here.
Right.
And she messaged me the other day, and she messaged me the other day, and she goes, we were circling up for our 30-day call, and she goes, and my husband and I just had sex for the first time in 2 years. And one part of me was like,
Shut
you
up.
didn't have sex for 2 years?
2 years.
And then the other part of me like wanted to like jump around and was like, yeah, awesome. But it's really
God.
Wow.
Oh,
and
no.
like there's
No. Oh, hell no. Hell no.
yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Hell no.
Mm-mm.
I know. I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, and I think
Wow.
these are things that we're probably embarrassed to talk about.
Yeah.
People that are experienced,
Yeah.
you know, they know it's not normal, but you're not going to talk about that at a dinner party.
Yeah.
And probably, especially if you're like less, I don't know, outgoing, okay, just talking about whatever.
Yeah.
If you're a little bit more private, you're not going to be bringing up stuff like that.
Well,
and
I
think
think about all of the people that are listening right now that what you just said touched home. Like, oh my gosh, that's me. And I mean, that is not normal. And you are missing out on one of the most beautiful parts of life, a good sex life.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's so important for a healthy relationship.
That makes me so sorry
important.
for Jamie.
yeah.
No, I'm happy for her.
I mean, yes,
she did the thing.
Yeah, she did the thing. Yes, she did. Mhm.
Stella got her groove back.
Yes. You're a keeper, my friend.
This is fun. This is fun. I'm having a good time.
Okay, so let's start with some easy little changes because I know that you have a bunch of, you're like me, you have a bunch of free resources and you have a bunch of paid resources.
Yeah.
So let's start with the person that's not quite ready to, you know, invest in, you know, buying a book or becoming, you know, in your coaching program or whatnot, but just wants to, you know, start dabbling with this whole biohacking thing. Where
So I when we released the book, and we have, I don't know, it's a little less than 1,000 copies right now of the book that are free. You know, you just help out with the cost of shipping if people want. So if they've heard enough and want to dig in more and really like just start absorbing this stuff like a sponge, at biohackersguide.com, they can get the book for free right now until those 1,000 are gone. And it's like you help out with the cost of shipping. That's in the US. But I've also done 250 free Facebook Live videos in the past year. And just sharing little tips, some of these things that you can apply immediately. One of them is a video. It's got about 3 million views, and it's about just drinking a cocktail with apple cider vinegar, organic lemon, and a little bit of San Pellegrino or sparkling water in the morning. And I talk about how a lot of people that may have said, I tried apple cider vinegar before and it didn't work, or it tastes like butt or whatever. A lot of times we're not doing it right. You know, we're not doing the right amount. And there are some little hacks you could do to make it taste a little bit better.
Ooh, tell us, please.
Yeah. So one of a guy, a guy, Edwin, actually wrote me recently, and he said that he'd lost 70 pounds just using this one hack without changing his diet, without changing his exercise. And he sent like before and after pictures. And I mean, he since went on and got the book and like joined the membership site and stuff. That's how it is if stuff works. And basically what you do is like the morning drink. And if you guys want to dive into why this stuff works, we can. It's up to you. But 12 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. I use Bragg apple cider vinegar. The juice from one organic lemon. You use enough San Pellegrino to make it so you can take it down. And then if you want, you can use a little bit of organic stevia. I don't use the stevia myself most of the time, but like when my girlfriend makes it, she'll throw some stevia in there, and it definitely makes it taste a lot better. It tastes kind of like a lemonade versus I don't know, apple cider vinegar with a little bit of
right. A strong taste. For sure.
Yeah. But it's amazing what it does for blood sugar regulation, helping the body to absorb more nutrients from the other food you eat. And we know that apple cider vinegar can even like kill some of the bad bugs in our gut and help the good ones to multiply. And all these things help us to burn fat faster. And like Edwin lost 70 pounds just by making that one change. And like, we've got a bunch of free videos out there. Some of them, you know, I'm being kind of goofy and having fun. And some of them, we dive into some nerd stuff. And I think there's a pretty good balance for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah, that's my Facebook.
You're a keeper. Like Cinthanie said, you're a keeper.
Thank you.
What is your Facebook, where they can find you on Facebook?
Yeah, so it's under my personal name. It's Anthony, Anthony. Last name Diclementi, Diclementi. As of right now, I think we've got around 60,000 people that are liking it or following it or whatever the Facebook terminology is. But that's the page where we put a lot of our content. And yeah, we do fun expert interviews with people. I just did one the other day with a guy, Chris Haddad, who's like an expert in the relationship space. But we were at a mastermind, and he's like, "You had Lyme disease? I had Lyme disease. Let's nerd out and talk about Lyme disease." And we ended up we stayed up till like 3 a.m. one night just talking about our journeys. And I'm like, we gotta have this conversation publicly so that other people that are going through this can take some of the tips and things that helped us to accelerate their journey so that they feel better sooner, faster.
Absolutely. So the person that wants all your free stuff, they go to Facebook and then get your free copy of your book. What are some other places that they can go and get a little bit more services from you?
Yeah, we have most people get the book, and then either at the time they get the book or shortly thereafter, like they end up joining our community. I think one of the things that's missing a lot in today's society is just connection to others. And like the more ways we have to connect digitally, it seems like the less we connect in person. And and a lot of times, like especially entrepreneurs, you can feel more alone than ever. Like people don't get the entrepreneurial journey. A lot of folks have a 9-to-5. So what we've done is we've created the biohacking lifestyle community. And it's it's a group of like-minded people who are all about becoming the best version of themselves, sharing what's working. It's where I make videos about like, hey guys, if you want to know how to optimize your sleep environment, so that you get a better night's sleep in the same amount of time or even less time, here are 5 things you can do. And I walk through my bedroom and like show the different tools that I use and how to do this stuff in a way that's simple, step by step. And then we post that video on the membership community. And, there's all sorts of cool stuff in there. Some people they'll be like, hey, how do I biohack my hangover? And then I'll be like, all right, here's 4 steps to biohack your hangover. And I'll give them. And then like the next day he'll chime in. He'll be like, holy shit, it worked. And like,
you just piqued the interest of every person my age.
Yeah. It's something that we all want, right? Like once you become committed to feeling as good as possible as often as possible, while still like not making sacrifices in your quality of life, you're like, okay, I have a lot of fun sometimes when I go out having some drinks with friends, but I don't want the whole next day to be a waste. Amen. What can I do? Amen. And then we share stuff like that and other fun things. It's just all about getting the most out of your time here, not just living longer, but increasing your health span as well, lifespan and health span. And
if they want to be part of your community, would they go to your website?
yeah, so we do a free trial with the book. So people that get the book, if they want, they can try it for 14 days and like see if it's right for them. And then there's also, you can go to biohackingsecrets.com and there's a free 7-day trial or something there too. And when people do the trial, they get the biohacker shirt like I'm rocking right now. And
awesome.
I need me one of those.
Yeah, it's one. I'll send you one. Let me know where to send it and what size you want. We're actually gonna. Hey, Nasita, come here. We got my little Maltipoo. I don't know if you guys can see. It's actually my girlfriend's.
Oh, yeah.
She's mine. She's mine by adoption. But we're getting her a little biohacker shirt as well. And, I've always been like a big dog guy, but I fell in love with this little lady, and her name is Nasita, she's named after a Venezuelan candy.
Nice.
Because my girlfriend is Venezuelan.
That's awesome. I'm a dog.
We're gonna get her a biohacking shirt too.
Okay, so I've got 2 big dogs, so I'm gonna need t-shirts for them too.
We'll get them. We'll hook them up.
Oh, this has been so much fun. I truly I appreciate your time, and I love the fact that you were my first interviewee to talk about biohacking, because it is part of what I do, but I haven't really talked about it a lot. So you were the perfect person to kind of open up this concept of what biohacking is. And to round this up, I want you to tell the listeners your top three quick biohacks before we end this.
Top 3 quick biohacks. Number 1, get more sunlight. Most people are like, it's just so deficient in sunlight, and it's the easiest thing you can do to get your body burning fat faster, making energy more efficiently, more natural sunlight. Like I like to think of it as, where's your sun battery? If 100% was like you've been naked on a tropical island for a month and like you couldn't get more tan, like you weren't burning. We don't want to burn, but like your body after a month on a tropical island couldn't take any more sun. That's 100%. Where are you at today? And most people are like 10, 20,
right. Yeah.
Get that up to 70, 80% without burning.
Right.
Number 2, cut grains out of your diet, at least for the short term. And then if you want to reintroduce, you can test reintroducing some of the more well-tolerated grains like organic jasmine rice, organic basmati rice, depending on your blood sugar and how much excess weight you're carrying around and all that fun stuff.
Right.
And then number 3 would be reduce your exposure to those unnatural electromagnetic fields we discussed by unplug your Wi-Fi router at night when you're sleeping. There's no reason to be blasting yourself with that while you're in bed. And I'm gonna add one more in this one. Put your phone in airplane mode while you sleep, and don't sleep with your phone in bed either. Like phone in another room. If you use it as an alarm clock, you can still put it outside of your bedroom and keep it in airplane mode. The alarm clock still works. Unplug your Wi-Fi, put your phone in airplane mode, and those 3 things, like just doing those 3 things, people will start seeing improvements in their energy, how they feel, and they'll want more.
Awesome.
Love it. Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. You're the bomb. Like, for real. I had so much fun with this interview.
You guys are awesome too. This is fun.
I know. I have a feeling that you will probably be back in the future. I'm just saying. I'm gonna put that.
I would love it.
But we do appreciate your time, and you guys. We always end our episodes with Fitz and Healthy podcast with an important message that we truly believe to our bones. And Cinthanie, can you give that message?
I can. You are a good person, and you deserve good things to happen to you.
And you deserve a full life. So, guys, start your journey of biohacking. And Anthony, thank you again so much for your time. And we hope that you have a more healthy day. Bye.
Thank you.
Make sure that you find us on social media. You can find Cinthanie on Instagram and Facebook at Cinthanie. So that's CINTHANIE, and on Snapchat at Cinthanie P. And find me on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Club Fitz Fitness. Remember, that's FITZ Fitness. and on Snapchat, just @ClubFitz. I appreciate your time listening so much. If you enjoyed this episode of the Fitz and Healthy podcast, can you please go do me a favor and go subscribe at whatever platform that it is that you listen to podcasts. Leave a review. We read every single review, and we appreciate the time that you take to leave your thoughts and opinions. Now, also remember, while I am a medical doctor, the information I provide here is not intended to provide medical advice or a professional diagnosis, opinion, treatment, or services to you or to any other individual. I am providing general information for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for medical or professional care. You should not use this information in place of a visit, call, consultation, or the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. The information I share is not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease or medical condition. If you believe you have a medical emergency, just call 911 immediately or your physician. Now, enough of that medical legal jargon. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate your time. Now, go live a Fitz and Healthy life.